So we talked about how to generate new red blood cells, but remember that in the diabetes mellitus lectures I talked about how red blood cells, they actually have a limited lifespan. So what happens to those red blood cells? Do they just disintegrate and disappear? Well, the thing is that the red blood cells have a lot of those that hemoglobin and iron, right? And I think that's a little more beyond this class. Like if you have too much free iron in your body, and I did some research on this as well, it has negative effects on your body. So it's important to keep iron in a controlled state in your body and with appropriate homeostatic levels. Alright, so this is to recap erythropoiesis. Again, you need iron because you need iron to make heme. You need heme to make hemoglobin, and your red blood cells are full of hemoglobin. But so remember that I think the Martini version and OpenStack's version are pretty consistent. The average lifespan of a red blood cell is around 120 days, so around 4 months. And most of the red blood cells, they survive, but some end up breaking up along the process, and this is what we call hemolysis. So some red blood cells, they burst open like a water balloon and they release their contents. So it's a small minority, but does happen. But most of them make it around that, again, 120 days lifespan. And again, remember, that's also the basis of hemoglobin A1C. It's kind of like a snapshot of the last 3 to 4 months of your blood sugar. Right, so most of them, like these are the ones that are damaged and underwent hemolysis, but most of them live around that 120 days. So what happens is that old erythrocytes end up being digested by macrophages, and macrophages, if you remember from last semester, these are big cells that eat they eat smaller cells, they eat cell debris, they eat pathogens, but what they do is take these old erythrocytes, gobble them up, and then recycle them. And the spleen is a major organ, and there's also also the liver and bone marrow that has these macrophages. But the spleen sometimes is called the red blood cell graveyard because you have a lot of these macrophages that turn over and engulf and digest these old red blood cells in the spleen. So what happens when you digest a red blood cell? Well, remember, red blood cells have all that hemoglobin, and hemoglobin is mostly polypeptide and protein, but you also have those heme molecules. So now you're disintegrating this red blood cell. You're also going to disintegrate the hemoglobin molecule. You're also going to release heme, and you're also going to release the iron that's in the center of a heme molecule. So yeah, so heme is that red pigment because of that iron compound, but when you get rid of the iron, it's interesting, during the various, when heme is metabolized and chemically altered by enzymes in your body, heme ends up becoming a green pigment you call biliverdin, and biliverdin is further chemically altered and metabolized into bilirubin. This is a very important compound, and it's a yellow pigment. So where does bilirubin end up? So we know we have heme from our former hemoglobin, but it got converted to biliverdin and bilirubin. So what happens to bilirubin? One major route you get rid of bilirubin is through your liver. So bilirubin can be transported via albumin to your liver, and your liver can excrete bilirubin via your bile ducts. And your bile ducts eventually lead to your intestines. We cover this later on in the semester as well, but this is a nice preview. So bilirubin ends up being mixed with bile and then excreted into your intestines. Now, bilirubin, once it's in your intestines, can undergo further chemical transformation and metabolism, and then bilirubin can become urobilin and stercobilin. So these are compounds that urobilin is yellow. Sometimes urobilin is also called urochrome, and stercobilin is brown. Now, here is urobilin, and what's going to happen? It's going to be absorbed into the bloodstream and end up into your kidneys. And what's one major function of your kidneys? Your kidneys make urine, right? And what color is urine? Urine typically has a yellow color, right? And urobilin, this is why it's also called urochrome. It pigments your urine and causes the yellow color. And this is what the kidney does. And stercobilin, what bodily substance is brown? And it is also excreted by your intestines. So urobilin ends up in the urine, making it yellow. Stercobilin is one of the major pigments that makes your feces brown. So again, this is why, so it all started out as heme, but it ended up either going to your kidneys or your intestines, and this is why waste products, their urine is yellow and feces is typically brown. So why is this important at all? Like, why am I covering all these like different colors of bodily substances and fluids? Well, interesting thing is that the color of your urine and feces can be an important indicator of health. And why is that? Well, this happened a few years ago. So what happened is that we had an outbreak of hepatitis A. So yeah, we had our own mini, well, it wasn't really a pandemic, but we had several people sickened by, yeah, tainted scallops. So they used to have something called a scallop meal sushi at a local chain. They're still in business, which is good because I love Yankee sushi, especially the spicy tuna there. But you won't see tainted scallop, or you won't see scallop mayo on their menu. In fact, things were so bad with the scallop mayo that even most sushi restaurants here in Hawaii will not offer any scallops because people were totally scared of it. But what happens is that you had this fight, this strain of the hepatitis, or so what happened was that there was this strain of virus called hepatitis A, and then this hepatitis A virus, well, what does it affect? Well, you see this term HEPA. So HEPA is a common prefix we use to refer to the liver. So anything hepatic refers to the liver. Itis referring to inflammation. So we have inflammation of the liver. So hepatitis A causes inflammation of the liver. So this virus attacks liver cells and causes the liver to become diseased. All right, so how is hepatitis linked to urine and feces? Well, remember that heme, when you have an old red blood cell, heme is metabolized into the yellow pigment bilirubin, and bilirubin is excreted by the liver into your intestines, and then it becomes the brown stercobilin, and this is a normal functioning body. Okay, so remember that the liver is very important in taking bilirubin and excreting it into your bile ducts, and then excreting it into your intestines, and then the bilirubin becomes urobilin and stercobilin. So what happens if hepatitis A attacks your liver and causes it to be diseased and dysfunction where it's no longer functioning as well? Well, your liver also makes bile. So if your liver starts becoming damaged and unable to deal with the infection, then it could lead to a lack of bile, therefore leading to a lack of excretion into your intestines. So what happens to bilirubin? If your bile production is affected and negatively impacted, then bilirubin won't end up in the intestines, and then urobilin and stercobilin will no longer end up in the intestines. So what happens to bilirubin? Well, the thing about your liver, it has blood supply leading to your liver, but your liver also has a blood supply leading away from the liver as well. So this bilirubin, because it no longer can end up in your bile, ends up recirculating and reabsorbed back into the bloodstream. So again, remember we have heme becomes bilirubin, which becomes stercobilin. Now, what happens if you take the liver and the excretion of bile into the intestines out of the equation? So that bilirubin is still in your body. But what happens? Instead of going into your intestines, it can end up in the sclera of your eyes. So you can see this guy's eyes are a little yellow. You can see his face is also yellow as well. So this is what we see here. And the thing is that the interesting thing is that this bilirubin, when it ends up in your urinary tract, it can end up going other chemical changes. You don't have to know it for this class, but it can be metabolized and changed by enzymes and also the bacteria in your urinary tract to convert bilirubin into stercobilin, but now it's in your urine. So this is a urine sample, and this is a dark brown urine. Yeah, so there are many causes of dark brown urine, but this is one possible cause. Like my friend who had hepatitis A when he was a kid, luckily for him, his mom was a nurse, but his mom noticed that he was feeling very, very sluggish and lethargic. But she also noticed like his urine was the color of Coca-Cola, and that's due to the pigments. There's also another thing too. Remember that urobilin should or bilirubin should end up in your intestines where it's converted into urobilin and stercobilin. But stercobilin should stay in your intestines, right? Well, what if you don't have bilirubin in your intestines to begin with? Well, if you don't have that, that means you don't have stercobil in your intestines. Therefore, you won't have brown color in your feces. Now, I think this is even too much for YouTube, and even I don't show this in class. But pale colored stools is another classic symptom of hepatitis A.